According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, there were 1.5 million people incarcerated in America in 2017. The average American has a 6% chance of being incarcerated during their lifetime. Many people know or love someone who is currently incarcerated in a correctional facility, but unfortunately, there are thousands of men and women who have inadequate or non-existent support systems. The nation with the highest incarceration rate in the world is seriously lacking in rehabilitative support for those who are incarcerated, and as a result, our communities are suffering. Not only is there a 6% chance that you or someone you know will become incarcerated, the more likely possibility is that at some point during your life you will interact with someone who has previously been incarcerated. Wouldn't you like for this interaction to be positive and productive? Better yet, wouldn't you like to make a difference in that person's life before they are released so that they can be more productive and successful in society? My name is Katrina Rostorfer, and I'm a criminal justice student at Marion Technical College who has spent the last year and a half working in a state-run correctional facility. During this time, I have met hundreds of inmates and seen firsthand the positive impacts that volunteers have in prisons. Today, I would like to explain to you why it is important for people to volunteer in prisons, the benefits that come from this, and the ways that you can make a difference by volunteering in a prison. Let me begin by explaining why it is important for people to spend their time volunteering in prisons. For inmates to be successful upon release, it is important that they have strong support systems to aid in their rehabilitation. At least 95% of prisoners will be released after serving their sentence and will have to re-enter into society. This means that someone who is previously incarcerated could be sitting in class next to you, working at your job beside you, or sitting across the dinner table from you one day. That means it is imperative that inmates are set up with the best chances for success at having been rehabilitated so that they can enter society and be successful. Volunteering in prisons is one way to ensure this success. Recidivism rates are also extremely high in America. Recidivism occurs when an inmate who is previously incarcerated is released, reoffends, and becomes incarcerated again. According to the National Institute for Justice, the recidivism rate in America is 76% for inmates who were released within the last 5 years. In order to alleviate the strain put on the economy and society by those who are offending, it is imperative that more people volunteer their time to rehabilitate those who are incarcerated. Now that we have discussed why it is important for you to volunteer, let's look at the many benefits that come from volunteering in prison. It might not seem obvious at first, but there are several benefits that come to individuals who work and volunteer in prisons. Working in a prison as a volunteer will expose you to a unique and perspective-changing environment. You will see inmates who have committed serious crimes but who are willing to be rehabilitated, which can help restore faith in humanity. Being exposed to the pain and struggles that inmates face also allows you to get a deeper sense of compassion and empathy. Prisons are a diverse setting that offer people a chance to interact with those who have diverse backgrounds. Not only does volunteering in a prison help you see that anyone can make a mistake and become incarcerated, it also helps understand the role that people's backgrounds play in their likelihood of committing crimes. Volunteering in prison also benefits individuals by allowing them to know that they're making society a better place. When volunteers come into prison, it gives inmates something positive to focus on, making correctional facilities safer and calmer. People who volunteer in prisons also have the opportunity to help rehabilitate offenders, making them more successful when they are released back into society. The benefits of prison volunteers is more well demonstrated and documented in the effects that it shows on the prison population. Volunteers who come into prisons often have a wealth of unique knowledge and experiences to share with those who are incarcerated. When volunteers interact with people from outside a correctional setting, they gain knowledge of the outside world and the things that have changed since their incarceration began. The more practical knowledge that an inmate can gain, the better prepared for reentry that they are. Many programs that bring volunteers into prison help inmates heal both emotionally and spiritually. Volunteers in prison offer inmates a place to share their stories and bond over faith and emotion. Religion and faith-based activities offer hope to inmates who are feeling isolated and hopeless. Volunteers can help instill a strong moral compass within the minds of inmates so that they are more likely to make better and safer choices. According to Terry Campbell, a professor at Purdue University, data from the Florida Department of Corrections suggests that inmates who attend faith-based programs are less likely to receive disciplinary reports. One of the greatest benefits for inmates that comes from the presence of volunteers in a prison is the positive social interactions that take place. Staff within correctional facilities are often limited on the interactions that they can have with inmates. Volunteers have a wider scope of topics that they can discuss with inmates and are able to make more humane interactions. Having a positive outlet for their thoughts, ideas, and feelings allows inmates to reduce some of the tension that they may be under. Maintaining contact with the outside world also reduces the risk of someone becoming institutionalized or disconnected from conventional society. After looking at some of the benefits of working in a prison, some people may still be apprehensive about volunteering their time in a correctional facility. One of the biggest hurdles that prisons face when trying to find volunteers to work within them is fear. There's a common misconception that prisons are filled with horrible people who commit crimes on a whim. The reality is that a majority of people who are in prison are good people who have made bad choices or mistakes. Inmates in correctional facilities are human beings just like you and me. Most people who are incarcerated want to better themselves and make positive changes in their lives. The fear that stands in the way also encompasses the idea that prisons are dangerous and volatile environments. While there is not by nature danger associated with working in a correctional facility, prisons are often fairly safe places to be. Prisoners, their movements, and their activity is heavily monitored by corrections officers and staff. Many prisoners are focused on rehabilitating themselves so that they can go home, and they try to avoid altercations. As I have said before, having volunteers present to work with inmates actually makes prisons a safer place to be. When you volunteer in a correctional facility, you help keep the inmates grounded and connected to the outside world. Inmates who are involved in these rehabilitative programs are often less likely to get in trouble and make good choices. Having more volunteers alleviates the strain that is put on corrections staff. As you can see, the presence of volunteers in prisons actually makes prisons a safer place to be. Now let's take a look at how you can volunteer and make a difference in the lives of those who are incarcerated. There is no limit to the way that you can volunteer and make a difference to help further the rehabilitation of inmates. One of the main ways that people find it is helpful to put their skills to use is by vocational programming. It is valuable for inmates to possess marketable job skills when they are released from prison. If you have knowledge of in-demand job skills such as mechanics, maintenance, electrical work, plumbing, or even cosmetology, then your skills can be valuable to inmates. Not only are you able to teach these skills to inmates, but you're able to practice your skill and share your passion with others. Another program that may be rewarding for both inmates and volunteers is prison ministries. There are ministry programs to accompany a wide variety of religions inside correctional facilities. As previously stated, faith-based programming helps inmates find hope and spiritual healings. If you're part of a church, there's no better way to spend time with your congregation and spread your faith than by bringing light to those who are in dark times. As a college student, I have found that one of the simplest and most enriching ways to volunteer in a prison is through educational internship programs. Many inmates who take part in educational programs are very driven to succeed and want to learn all that they can. As a student, not only are you able to share your knowledge with other people, but you are able to get a different perspective on the things that you are learning. Educational programs offer an alleviation to those who are working in correctional facilities by helping have others teach the inmates as well. There is certainly no shortage of opportunities in volunteering in prisons, and the need for volunteers is great. As we come to a close today, it is important to open your mind to new perspectives and remember all that we have covered. Today I talked to you about why it is important to volunteer in prisons, the benefits that come from volunteering, and the ways that you can volunteer to make a difference. Knowing that you are currently, or in the future likely, will have interactions with someone who is previously incarcerated lets you know that it is up to you to shape the prisoners who are released back into society. I urge you to contact your local correctional facility today and find out how you can not enrich only your life, but the lives of those who are currently incarcerated.